I will tell you, I read it last night, and it's phenomenal. This guy is wicked, wicked smart. And just like last time, he came up with a solution, which is still going through, which is, Article 5 of the Constitution, where you can have a convention of states, constitutional convention, so to speak. It's not what you think it is. And that is going through. How close are we to that?
I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, that's a game changer if that happens. We'll talk to him about that. In this, he talks about what's happening in the country, and it is staggering. We sit here and look at it every day and say, wow, is it bad? You read it in Mark's book, and it's worse than you think it is. If you have a friend that is not paying attention and you just can't get them to understand, give them this book and say, read this. You don't think it's bad? You don't really know what's going on? Read Plunder and Deceit. And it will show. I mean, the most powerful line really is the first line, if I can grab it here real quick. The first line, can we simultaneously love our children but betray their generation and generations yet born? He brings this up over and over and over again. We say we love our children. We say it's for the children. We are betraying them. We are selling them into slavery. His solution is a new civil rights movement. He is correct.
One like Black Lives Matter?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly like that.
Then that's already being organized. Yeah. Good.
Never Again is Now is happening in Birmingham, Alabama on 8/28. I want to bring on Mark Levin, who is the author of Plunder and Deceit, Big Government's Exploitation of Young People and the Future, and, of course, talk radio host and maybe possibly talk radio legend, Mark Levin. How are you, sir?
Aren't you supposed to be a legend after you die, by the way? I'm doing great. How are you, my friend?
Very good. All the rules are up for readjustment now, Mark, as
so.
you know.
Yes.
I read your book this weekend. It is, I mean, you know this. You're wicked, wicked smart. I had to use, my dictionary a couple of times. But I want to start with, I think it's the entire premise of the book. The first line is one of the most powerful first lines of any book I've read. Can we simultaneously love our children but betray their generation and generations yet born?
Yeah, I honestly think if people think about it, no, you can't. I mean, and I go into some detail, philosophical and practical, in the first chapter, just to lay the foundation for the book to get the attention of people who are our age and our generation. You love your children, you love your grandchildren, you'll do anything for them. You'll go broke for them, you'll take a bullet for them if you truly love them. I mean, that's the purpose of life, isn't it? To have children and to make sure that they carry on humanity. And yet, when we talk about government policies or the next generation, it's like they don't exist. And I get into what I think the psychosis is there. And then on the other hand, we have young people, and by the way, I'm not talking about 12-year-olds. We have 20, 25, 40-year-olds who say that they distrust authority and the status quo and governmental officials, and yet they vote for all three of them. So I try to unravel some of that psychology, and then I just figure the best way to do this is to write a prosecutor's brief, if you will, on issue after issue after issue that I consider major issues on how big government is destroying this country, and most particularly how it is destroying future generations and young people.
Yeah. You lay out a case. I mean, anybody who knows that we have stage 4 cancer, you read Mark's book and you realize, yeah, it's worse than I thought it was. As I said earlier today, this is the book, Mark, at least in my opinion, this is the book that you read and then you hand to a friend who says, it's not so bad. You hand them this book and say, no, here are the facts on how bad it is. In your chapter on education, good heavens. I mean, we've been talking about Common Core and all the things that are dragging us down. You have the actual stats in there on how bad things are. It's an abomination. We are truly trapping our children in slavery.
You know, it's amazing, Glenn. The United States government, foreign governments, foreign institutions, they all report on themselves. And what they've reported on themselves is that our educational system is a disaster. We spend hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars a year. For what? For buildings, for material things in the classroom, mostly for teacher salaries and pensions.
And you go in.
Yep.
Hang on just a sec. Go into what you said about the Heritage Foundation study on teacher salary, because everybody always says that teachers are poorly paid, et cetera, et cetera. And you make the case, no, not really.
No, when you take into consideration their benefits, which are enormous, and which go on their entire lifetimes after they retire, particularly their health benefits and their pension benefits, they're way out of line. I mean, you could say people not so much in similar positions, because there aren't similar positions, but similar economic status, when you consider that, make far less than a teacher. 70% or more of most local school district budgets are for teachers, and yet let me ask you a question. Once a teacher's tenured, how do you remove them? Let me ask you another question. If your kid doesn't get along with a teacher, not because your kid is a problem, but the teacher may have a problem, can you move your kid out of that classroom? No. Let's say you have a problem with the Marxist propaganda being preached by that teacher or professor in college, or the textbooks or the lectures. Do you have any influence over that? Zero. You just pay up, and that's the way it is. And so people wonder, gee, why are these young people so liberal? Or why don't they understand what's going on? Why don't they appreciate their country? Why don't they know what the Bill of Rights are? Why don't they know that we have three branches of government? Because nobody tells them. That's why day in and day out they're being indoctrinated on this left-wing, hate America, hate faith, hate family agenda. But apart from the indoctrination and the left-wingism, these institutions are destroying them economically. The debt is massive. The Republican and Democrat debt, over $200 trillion in unfunded liabilities. And as I say in the book, Len, forget about this class warfare, let's tax the rich. The economy creates about $17.5 trillion a year in wealth. Let's pretend it's 20. And let's take every damn penny that's produced by the private sector for the next 10 years. We still could not pay down in any significant way what is the unfunded liabilities, which will be $500 trillion in 10 years. This is a catastrophe waiting to happen.
You go in and you not only talk about the federal debt, but you give some stats on personal debt and household debt and the catastrophe that is our own personal debt in the next 5 years.
Well, it's enormous. Let's just take a look at student loans. $1.3 trillion. $1.3 trillion, and now we, the taxpayers, are on the hook for this because Obama nationalized the student loan program. $1.3 trillion. What the hell do they get for it? You're going to college. You take a few classes a day. Maybe get 14 or 16 credits a semester. Why are you paying $50,000 to go to college? Well, I'll tell you why. The professors, again, are tenured and they're overpaid. Massive administrative costs. They can't stop building. One has to outdo the next with tennis courts and swimming pools and so forth and so on. Massive debt in our colleges and universities that these kids going through college are now having to subsidize. It has nothing to do with what's going on in the classroom, but I deal with what's going on in the classroom, too, providing more evidence on how these deans keep picking from the same 20 Ivy League and Ivy League light schools to fill up their faculty positions. So it's so incestuous. The ideology is so incestuous. Again, this book is written for parents and grandparents, but more precisely for young people. I call it the rise. I hate this word millennials. I don't know what the hell it means. It's sterile. And so I say the rising generation, young people, we're the governing, they're the rising. People can call them whatever they want. And I say, you know what? You young people better find out what the hell's going on and stir yourselves, or you're going to have nothing because we're stealing all this stuff from you.